Hello and welcome to the channel. This is All the Gear and No Idea with me, Sav. If it's your first time to the channel, a massive welcome to you. And if you're returning to the channel, a massive welcome back, Savages. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here. Thank you ever so much for watching. And I hope everybody is having a super blessed day. So today in this video, it's our concert review video for Red Velvet's R2V that they played Tuesday. So a couple of days ago when I record this, but almost a week ago when it comes out. But yeah, had the wonderful privilege of going to see Red Velvet in concert after seeing them last year at MIK. When they said we'll be back, I was like, yeah, you better believe it, and I'll be there. And so they were back. They were doing their R2V tour, and this was their London date, which was the last of their Euro dates. And we went, and so this is kind of just a review of the day, the experience, the performance, and just a kind of rundown of my thoughts on it. We tend to do this now when we go to concerts. Did it for ATs, did it a bit for Dreamcatcher. If Stray Kids ever come to the UK, we'll do it for Stray Kids, manifesting. But yeah, so this is the Red Velvet one, and as you can see, I'm back in my my Irene t-shirt that I made for MIK that I broke out of the cupboard for the festival, or not the festival, for the concert. And wore. Sadly, once more, Irene, I don't think saw it, but yeah, one day we'll get to see it, hopefully, and hopefully she gets a giggle out of it, but who knows. But yeah, so let's have a run through the day. So the biggest part, I suppose, or the longest part, I suppose, of any concert day is the queuing. And this time I rocked up quite late, or later, shall we say. I got there around 11ish, but my lovely K-pop brother in arms, my good friend Anthony, he had basically saved me a spot in the queue, which I do feel really bad about, because I feel really bad for everybody who else was there who was super early, but he got there about midnight-ish. So he was there for a long time. There were people that were there a bit longer, but he was there a long time. So he was practically front of the general admission part of the queue. And then I rocked up 11 hours later than he did and joined him. So a huge thank you to him for that, but a huge apology to everybody else who had been queuing there. I do feel really bad that I kind of just rocked up later after you've all spent the night camping out there and kind of just slid in, but yeah, I do apologize, but I thank him for being an absolute trooper and going that late at night to get a spot. That was mad. But yeah, but the queues were always fun. People were always lovely. It was so much fun to meet up with some people that I'd seen at other concerts. I have a couple of friends that I saw that were there that I met at the Dreamcatcher concert. A couple of people were like, hey, I know you, you were that annoying guy in the line. And I was like, yes, that's me. A couple other people like, hey, I think I've seen a video of yours, which is always a delight, because I do not expect anybody to have ever seen anything I've done. But yeah, so the queue was always fun. I had a lovely chat. So the group we were with at the front, who had been, you know, camped out there practically all night. Well, they had been camped out there all night. It was a lovely set of people, but one was a mother and her daughter that had come over from Sweden, and they were there, and I don't think they were there specifically for the concert. I think they had come to London for a few days, but it just happened that the concert was there, and the daughter was like, Mum, can we go? And she was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. So mum and daughter there, and I had a lovely conversation with the mother throughout the day. And that was really nice. They were really lovely. So I hope they had a fantastic time, because once we got in, the madness of trying to get into a spot in the crowd to be able to see the concert, I think we lost practically everybody that we'd made friends with throughout the day. But I hope they had a great time, and I hope they got home safely back to Sweden. I hope they enjoyed the rest of their time in London. But yeah, they were really lovely, and they had been there quite a while. I think the poor mum was just like, what is this? What is this? Why am I here at Oh Dark Ridiculous? Why am I camping out for a group I've never heard of and probably never will again, unless it's by my daughter? But no, they were really lovely. So yeah, the queue is always fun. Staff were relatively nice. There were quite a few of the security team that obviously knew that a lot of people had been camping out there early, so were really like nice towards them from what I understood. Anthony was telling me that, you know, they've been really lovely and were trying to respect the fact that, you know, we turn up, people in concert queues will usually write fan numbers of when you turn up, kind of like a, you know, hey, look, we were here at this time, and people try to honor that the best they can. Some people don't, but it's nice when security team also kind of honor it, and, you know, people will try and jump the queue and they'll be like, no, you were not here, you can go to the back. Which I heard there was a few instances in the priority queue. So we had, if you had the building, you had general admission on one side and you had priority on the other, and apparently, you know, on occasion there were a couple of people that tried to scoot up the old priority line, and security were like, no, you arrived 10 minutes ago, they've been here 8 hours. Off you go. Like, that's fair, I respect that. But yeah, the venue itself, OVO, I don't think I've ever been to OVO Wembley Arena. I didn't even know it existed, if I'm honest, because it's right next to Wembley Stadium in London. And obviously everybody knows, well, most people will know Wembley Stadium is, you know, it's a kind of famous stadium. It's where a lot of the football happens. So I just didn't know there was a Wembley Arena, if I'm honest. But no, good capacity. I think it's a 12.5K capacity venue. So, and it was sold out, right? Which is fantastic. I love that. I love that for Red Velvet, that their concert was sold out. But during the queue, like, somebody said, oh, it's sold out, but security said they're only expecting 5,000 people. And I was like, what? What? That doesn't make sense. That's not... And like throughout the day, like the queue was not building up much at all, and you're like, why is it? So, like, maybe it is true. I'm like, but that would be sad. And then we got in there, everybody piling up, and then by the time they start, the place is rammed. Okay, I don't think there was a spare seat, a spare spot in sight. It was rammed, and it was really nice because at the end, although I'll get back to this later, Wendy made note to the fact that it was basically packed, because I think they'd come out, or they peaked out earlier, and like it was kind of, there was loads of empty spaces, and they were kind of a bit like, oh. And then when they came out and it's rammed, it's absolutely full, she was like, that really meant a lot. Thank you ever so much. Like, like it's so nice. And that was lovely. It was lovely that, you know, Revelovs or Lovies turned up and packed the place out. But I'd love to know where that information came from, that they were like, we're expecting 5,000 people. And I was like, that's, you know, ridiculous. But yeah, so queuing, always a fun day. Weather was not bad. It wasn't as warm as it had been billed to be. It was very cloudy, very windy at times, so there was a chill to it. And you're like, goodness me, it's like, you know, the start of June, for crying out loud. Can we have some heat? But it was not forthcoming for most of the day. But yeah, no, so the queuing was fairly nice. And then we got in, obviously priority go in first. We then managed to go in, and we were quite near the front. Well, we were obviously near the front of general admission. So we got in, but obviously all the good stage space basically already been packed out. But we managed to find like just a little bit at the front right, like far side right. So if they came right to the corner of the stage, they're basically in front of you, which they did on occasion. So I did manage to capture some good shots occasionally when they came down, but they had a catwalk. So what would happen, because we were at the front of that, we would have to turn to face them. And I did try video document quite a large amount of the concert as well as I could. But the moment they started walking down the catwalk, because then we were facing behind them, I didn't feel comfortable, because the angle and some of the outfits, which I'll talk about in a minute, were kind of short. And I was just like, I'm just going to put that down now. When they were in front, fine, like good shot, fade, like, but yeah, anyway. But yeah, so we managed to get a spot, and if they came over, you could see them really well, give them a wave. We were quite close to the front of the barrier, although we did get shifted eventually. Crowd shifting inside of a concert always baffles me. It's like, how did I started here, but somehow now I'm further away. I'm like, how did that happen? But nah, it's just one of the joys of going to a concert, I suppose. But yeah, so that was the queuing and getting in, that was yeah, fairly standard. It was an alright day for that. The concert then, the thing, you know, we all came to see, Red Velvet. Firstly, absolute shame that Joy was not able to attend due to health issues. She's not been on, I think she did the Korean concert and then that was it, but she's had health issues. So sadly she was missed again. So 2 times I've seen Red Velvet. I've been OT4, but it's okay because they said they will come back and they will bring Joy with them. So manifesting that, and hopefully Joy will be able to make it next time, which would be lovely. It would be lovely to get OT5. But what I thought was a really nice touch then, so during songs, so they came out, or actually the dancers came out first. That was really cool. So we had VCR to start. They had a lot of VCR. I did start to think this is quite a lot of VCR, but they did have 6 outfit changes, so you kind of need a lot of interim bits for the outfit changes. Although one outfit change, I getting ahead of myself. So everybody's in, right? We're in. We're getting close to it. It was billed to start at 8. They never start at 8. It wasn't going to start at 8. Somebody was like, oh, it's starting. I'm like, I guarantee it will go overtime. And then it kept going. I was like, right, it'll be now. And then all of a sudden, and I was like, it's not my first time anymore. I kind of understand how these things work a little bit. And then the VCR rolled. Their storytelling in the VCR was fantastic. Like, they're acting in it. Well, obviously, 3 of them are in TV shows and movies, so you know they can act. And then, but yeah, and it was really cool because obviously, as a lovey, you kind of understand Red Velvet's a bit of a cult-ish. Like, there's some dark theories out there about, you know, the MV meanings and the lore of Red Velvet. One of which is like, yeah, basically like a cult, and one of the members is the puppet master. They're controlling everything. I think it's Irene, but there we go. So the VCR rolled, and then dancers came out, and their dance team came out, and they were fantastic. Loved the dance team. And they started off, and then obviously Irene, Sorgi, Wendy, and Yeli came out in kind of like very, well, pinkish. It was like their Feel My Rhythm, pinkish kind of ballerina outfits. So they started with Feel My Rhythm, which you gotta love. Love Feel My Rhythm. Absolutely fantastic tune. So they came out, were doing that. I think Bombaleo was next, and then LP. But yeah, Bombaleo. So they performed a couple of songs, came over near us, waved during their dance, went back, dancing. It was just fantastic. But what I loved is when it would have been Joy's part of the song, for the most part where they could, up on the screens, they played footage of her performing that bit at their other concert in the similar outfits that she would have worn if she was performing with them live. And I thought that was a really nice touch. I really, really enjoyed that. Obviously, for the most part, you're paying attention to the stage, and then you hear Joy's voice, and you look up, and there's Joy up on the screen, and you're like, oh, I love that. Like, I love that they did that. I love that they included that and made it happen so that she was still, whilst absent physically, was still a part of the concert. And I thought that was a wonderful touch. Very well played. And they played it in seamlessly. That was very well worked out. So the team handling like footage up on screen, the video team, did an amazing job working that in. But yeah, so they came out, they looked stunning, they looked absolutely phenomenal. All 4 of them just looked incredible. They looked ready to go, happy. Like, you could get towards the end of certain parts of tours and like, it's got to be tiring, right? You're flying everywhere, you're performing, you're not getting a lot of rest, maybe, and you're just doing loads, and you're going around and you're doing things. And I'm sure they did loads of other like recording bits and interviews and stuff like that. So they've been you've been really busy, but to come out and like immediately look like you're enjoying yourself. Like, I don't think I saw one of them not look like they're enjoying themselves there the entire time. Obviously, Irene, who I absolutely adore, is always very focused, but even at times, like, big bright smile on her face. Other time, very zeroed in. Like, she gets into it, and I love that about her. Like, genuinely love her, like, dedication to like her professionalism and her performance. Just sometimes she was like zeroed in, but when you get to see her smile, she has a gorgeous smile. But yeah, and then Sorgi and Wendy and Yeri were all obviously looking like they were having an absolute blast, and it's just nice. It's just nice when you can see that the idols, the artists are enjoying it. And the crowd were loving it. The crowd were going absolutely nuts. The screaming was huge as always. But yeah, so I think we started with Feel My Rhythm. I think Bombaleo was next. And then I think we had another one. And then they looked like they were going to run off quickly for a change. And they did change outfits. So they were wearing their pink ballerina ones. And they dart off. But it was like a split second. It was the fastest outfit change of the entire evening, because they went off and you're like, oh, okay, well, we'll see them in a sec. But they were already back out. And I don't know if they had the dresses on underneath or something, but they were in. So they went from like big, kind of like, let's call it ballerina outfit, to very nice, sleek pastel dresses, which looked stunning. They looked absolutely gorgeous. We got stuff like, then we got Ice Cream Cake, and I think we got Oh Boy and A Ride. Because they did reds and then velvets. But it was just so much fun. Ice Cream Cake was so much fun. I love Ice Cream Cake as a song when they performed it live. I don't, like, when I first listened to it in my review, I think I was a bit skeptical. But when I saw them perform it live, and just the massive grins they had on their faces when they're doing it, and like, you could, yeah, that made it 10 times better. But yeah, so then playing more songs. I think we had Queendom, Bing Bing. Birthday came on. Birthday was great. I think we had another outfit change in that time. Probably somewhere just before or after Queendom. Did I say Kingdom? I meant Queendom. Queendom. It was Queendom. Sorry. And we changed outfits. I think it was actually just before the Velvets. So we had ballerina, then we went to pastel dresses, which were stunning. And then we went to like kind of like a denim fit. So I think Yeri had like a top with a jacket and denim shorts. What was the others wearing? I can't even remember now. But my favorite my favorite outfit of the entire evening was inside the denim fit one, and it was Sorgi's, because she was wearing like denim ripped jeans. And then like a black crop top with like red flames on it. Like very early 2000s kind of, end of 90s, 2000s vibe. But I loved it. It was like kind of very Y2K. I think I used to have not a crop top, but like a t-shirt with, so I was like, I don't know why, but she looked fantastic in it and she rocked it. And I was just like, yes, Sorgi, let's go. That was like outfit change 3. And then we went to the Velvets and we changed, and it was kind of like black outfits, I think. Yeah, kind of like leathery time, like. But then we got the Velvets and we started with Pose. What a song, what a song. We got Pose and then Beg For Me, and like Wendy was wearing like leather shorts and a leather top. And the rest of them were all in like other quite suggestive outfits, kind of. And you were just like, you can't play Pose and then Beg For Me and expect anybody in the crowd to be alive after that. Like, people were dying. Everybody was dying. Hashtag respectfully. But death occurred, okay? That was a lethality that was unnecessary in some regards, but I think a lot of people appreciated it nonetheless. So we had more Velvets, and then we had one of my favourite songs off of the River Festival birthday album, which is Zoom. We had Zoom and Bye Bye. Zoom, oh, I love Zoom. Fantastic. Love that song. My very good friend Z Nuna's favourite one off that is Bye Bye, which they played immediately after. So we went Zoom, then Bye Bye, and I was just like, oh, she would absolutely love this. Hopefully she gets to see Red Velvet soon. Fingers crossed. Manifesting it for you, Nina. But yeah, we had Bye Bye, and then I think we had In and Out. followed by I Just, Peekaboo. Peekaboo was fantastic. Loved Peekaboo. Bad Boy in English. Then we had Psycho is like the last song. So we had Psycho, and then they went off, and everybody was like, "Oh, come back," because you can. And then they came out. They came back out. And what did they play? What did they play after that? They had like a double encore, which I thought was genius, by the way. Double encore is just a fantastic thing to do. So then they came out the first time and they played Celebrate and My Dear, and then they ran back off again and they came back on, and we got Russian Roulette, Zimzalabim, which had to be hands down the kind of like the best song of the evening, kind of. It was the highest energy, and like some of the remixes actually they threw in through a lot of these songs were fantastic. Psycho caught me way off guard when they did Psycho, and then they did like a remix in the middle of it, because I thought, oh, it's ending, turn the camera off, and then it was a remix and they finished it, and I was like, I've just missed it, no. But yeah, so some of the remixes were fantastic, but Zimzalabim was nuts, and they were going off on it. Like, oh yeah, they were loving that one. And then the last song was You Better Know, and that was lovely. And then they said like thank yous and goodbyes. Or I think they said thank yous and goodbyes before that as like part of the first encore. And their English was fantastic throughout. Well, obviously Wendy can speak English very well, and so therefore kind of leads a lot of the stuff. Yeri, bless her soul, our English Yeri, she was doing bits, but she tried to do an English accent, or one of the bits within it was like an English accent, and Wendy tried, really funny, I would say she was fairly good at it. And then Yeri did it towards the end, and she was like, oh, I heard the trick to do this was don't move your upper lip. And then like she said something, upper lip was moving every which way. The members were like laughing at her. It was really cute. She fell on the floor dying of embarrassment. But bless her, it was really funny. She tried, but it was really wasn't the best English accent. Everybody always tries an English accent. They always try to do the Queen's English, or now the King's English. Well, let's say the Queen's English for this part. Whereas a lot of us don't speak like that. I certainly don't sound like that. But yeah, but that was really funny. But yeah, and they're like they perform so well. Their live vocals are ridiculous. Like, and you could tell the microphone was on. Although, I'm going to get this out of the way now. I'm going to get this part out of the way now because it was the only bugbear I had throughout the entire concert, throughout the entire day. The only thing that genuinely pissed me off, that really angered me, was the microphones. Some of you may or may not know, I may or may not have mentioned it before. I studied live events, as I studied sound and live events as a degree. Like, that used to be my job. I used to put on stuff like shows, and my main focus was sound. I love correct sound kind of thing, making sure people are heard, making sure it doesn't sound horrible. I don't know who the sound team was. I don't know who the company was that was hired to come do sound. I saw some guys in MIK shirts wandering around at some point. I was like, oh, did they get the same team back? I do not know who was on sound. I do not know who was sorting the microphone. I don't know who was it. But if I met them, we would be having words, because the amount of feedback we were getting through from the microphones was ridiculous. Clearly, they had a difficult relationship with turning down the gain dial. Look, turn down the gain dial a little bit, push the sound fader. Just as long as the mic is not burning hot, that when some of the most powerful vocals in K-pop start belting down it, you don't get horrible feedback from the speakers. I was ready to throw hands. I was literally ready to throw hands. I don't think a lot of people recognize it sometimes. well, it was quite loud at some points. Sulgi winced at one point because I think it gummed down her in ear and like she winced, and I was like, okay, now we have a problem. How dare you? And I could hear it at first, like I notice it, I listen out for it, I do sound at other places still sometimes, do it at church. And so I can I can hear it, and I turned to Anthony, because Anthony now works for an audiovisual live events company as well. And I said, mate, this microphone they're feeding back, it's horrible. And he was like, oh, I can't hear it yet. And then throughout the evening, well, I could keep hearing it. And then he was like, oh yeah, I can hear it. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's bad. It was awful. How do you go to how do you go to a concert and the vocals that badly? And it wasn't just one song, it wasn't just like a one-off and then it was like, oh, it didn't happen again. It happened so many times and it really angered me. Hey, Red Velvet, next time you're in London, next time you're in town, give me a call, my DM's open, email me, I will come do and mix your sound for you, because it sure as heck will be a lot better than whatever that person does. Sorry, I'm going to go off on like a major rant about this. But you've got to handle 9 microphones throughout the entire evening. 4, let's call them Britney mics, the headset ones where it's, round their ears, round the back, and like the little mic. I affectionately call that a Britney mic. And then you've got handhelds, and then you've got one for the translator. That's 9 microphones, right? That's not a difficult job. When they're singing with headset, when they're performing choreo bits, just make sure the headset ones are up. And when they're performing with the handhelds, make sure the handhelds are up. But don't overdo the freaking gain. Wendy, on several belts, feedback. Wendy has such powerful vocals, but they're going to have rehearsed, right? They're going to have practiced these songs. They're going to have tested the microphones. How have you not got the level correct from that? How is it you get to game day, you get to the performance, and you are not paying attention to what the microphones are doing? Anyway, right, that's enough of my bugbear for that. That was the one bummer of the day, and it was the feedback in the microphones, because whoever was running the mixing desk is clearly an idiot. Or just doesn't know how to do their job properly. But yeah, other than that, their live vocals were incredible when it wasn't feeding back. Hearing Wendy and Sulgi together live is just a blessing to the ears. And Yeri was on point, Irene was on point. All 4 of them were on point. Like, they were going for it. They were belting. They were singing. They were rapping. They were just fantastic. They were fantastic. They were just let down by poor sound quality from a sound guy. Anyway, but they themselves were amazing, and it was just really nice to listen to for a lot of times. There were times where the crowd was like bouncing, going crazy, and I just stood there and just let it wash over me in ways. I was just like, oh, I am blessed. I am so super blessed to be here to listen to their live vocals. They're just some of the best vocalists in the game, still in the game, will ever be. Like, you'd be hard pressed to beat Wendy sometimes in vocals. I think there are very few actual female K-pop idols that match Wendy for vocals. And Sulgi, the pair of them are a dangerous duo when it comes to vocals. But yeah, it was just, but their choreo, oh my gosh, they really went all out for this. Their choreo was fantastic. It was very well polished, very slick, very smooth. The dancers, when the backup dancers were in with them, were fantastic as well. All of them together, it was excellent. Like, they clearly put so much work and effort into it. It was pristine in many ways. Everybody was doing it. But that's also when I love Irene most sometimes, is when they're doing choreo. And okay, Red Velvet, very much known for their vocals, not always, oh, the choreo in Red Velvet song was, you know, some of the greatest we've ever seen. Like, it doesn't happen that often. It should happen. Doesn't happen that often, I think. I don't know. Please correct me. But when it comes to choreo, that is when Irene is so dialed in. She's so super focused at times, and you're just like, yes. Like, Irene gets things right. Like, she is perfectionist. But to see her and Sorgi dance, whoo, that was fantastic. That was fantastic. And the rest of them were all brilliant. Yeri and Wendy, also fantastic dancers. And you can tell all of them have put in a lot of hard work to making sure, you know, it was as the best it could be. And it was fantastic. But yeah, and then the backup dancers were thoroughly enjoying themselves as well, which is really nice to see. And they all had big smiles on their faces at times, so that was wonderful. And then I think one of my favorite things, or one of the things I kept looking at, was the video wall. Just how visually stimulating and visually pleasing it was. It was so aesthetically nice as well. But they had massive video walls, massive screens up. They had two big screens so you could see the camera work, but like the video walls on the stage and stuff, something was always playing, and it was, when it was the Reds, very bright, and then during the Velvets they had quite a lot of things, but there was so much going on, but it looked so good. So yeah, to the effects team who came up with the video wall and stuff, well done to you. That was fantastic. One of my favourite things of the evening was just watching those as they were performing when they were on the main stage, because sometimes, as I said, they went down to the catwalk. But yeah, it was fantastic. Overall, a very enjoyable concert, apart from the occasional feedback from the microphone from people not knowing what to do. There we go. But other than that, fantastic concert. Red Velvet were incredible. Irene, Sorgi, Wendy and Yeri just absolutely busted their back ends off to put on a fantastic show for lovies. So I hope every single lovey that went enjoyed it. I hope everybody had a great time. Didn't have to ask for staff to help people out this time, which seemed to be pretty good. Everybody was quite respectful of each other's space. There didn't seem to be a lot of pushing. But yeah, so Red Velvet did a fantastic job putting on a great concert. They sounded amazing. They looked amazing. They performed amazingly. They were incredible. It was an absolute pleasure to go and watch. So yeah, it's kind of like my thoughts on the day. And if anybody else was at the concert who had anything else to add, please put it in the comments. If you see this, I would love to know what you guys thought of it. But yeah, there we go. So that was kind of just a summary of my thoughts on the day. So there we go. Hope if you're still here, that wasn't too bad for you. Sorry about the rant in the middle, but it really did really did get on my nerves. But yeah, there we go. So thank you ever so much for watching. If you do have any thoughts, if you were there at the concert, please leave them in the comments. That would mean a lot. But other than that, I hope everybody has a super blessed day. Thank you ever so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay savage. And as always, I shall catch you in the next video. Bye.